Welcome back. So, today I'm going to talk to you guys about something that every nursing students in the world, dreads, which is the NCLEX. So, the NCLEX is a state exam that every nurse, every single person that wants to become a nurse, every student that has finished nursing school will have to take in order to become a registered nurse. LPN. You have to go to your state. You take a standardized test, and they let you know whether you failed or you passed. So they don't even tell you. They don't even give you a grade. They don't tell you you made a 90, you made a 60, you made a 50. They just tell you you either passed or you failed. So sounds scary, right?
Sounds scary, right? Sounds scary, right? It is.
So this video is going to be about my experience in taking the NCLEX and how I studied for it, how I passed on my first time with 75 questions, what I did once I finished nursing school, and how far in advance, like how when I graduated and when I took it. So I'll let you guys know how I did. And if you are interested in listening to my experience, stay tuned. Okay, so I graduated in May 2017. We did like the whole pinning ceremony, graduation. Was the most happiest day of my life. So we graduated in May. I graduated in May, and then I ended up. You have to wait to do for the state to send you a authorization number to test. I think it's ATI number or something like that. You have to wait till you get that, and you will get that through your email. And once you get that, that's just verifying that your school has said that you have had this degree, have taken these classes, and you're ready to test. So you have to wait till that. Well, the whole process to get that, you have to do a criminal background check. You have to submit this, submit that. It's like a bunch of stuff that you have to submit. You have to get your fingerprints taken, so then you're officially in the system. So once you do all that, you upload all this information into a website. You have to mail it in. You have to do all this stuff, and once all that is in, you have to graduate. Your teacher, your instructor, the director has to send in your information, and then the state says, okay, you're ready to test, and then you have to select a date to when you want to test. So my experience was a little bit different because I have two last names. So one last name, this is Hispanic culture. We have two last names. One is from our dad, one is from our mom. So then you end up, they're both your last names. I don't have a middle name, so my instructor wanted to give me a middle name, I guess. And she used one of my last names as my middle name, and when she submitted it, she put that was my middle name and that my other name was the last name. So then it was this big confusion, and everyone in my class was getting their ATI number, their authorization number, and here I am sitting there like waiting, like I haven't gotten mine. Like I have not gotten mine. So I'm freaking out because I haven't gotten my number, and I haven't, everybody's scheduling their dates. Some of them tested, and I haven't even gotten my number. So you have to, like, I emailed the board, I emailed the state board, and I'm calling them every other day, and I don't get, no one answers me. The voicemail saying, I don't see this, I don't see that. And so I finally called one day. My friend was like, you need to call again. I was like, I already called like 500 times. So then I called, and then once I finally got someone, and then she told me, I told her the situation, and then my director fixed it, and then we ended up getting my ATI number later than everybody else. So I graduated, and I'm waiting. So while in the meantime we're waiting, we paid for a course. I think our school paid for half of it, and we had to pay for half of it, or 10% of it. I don't remember what the cost was. It was just, I tried to blur out nursing school for some reason, because it did so much damage emotionally, physically, and mentally. So, anyways, all right. So then we did this NCLEX prep course, which we did the Hearst, and I highly recommend it. It was very, very helpful. There's like Kaplan out there, there's like UWorld, and there's so many other courses, but we got to do Hearst, and they do guarantee you pass on the first time, or they give you your money back, or you're able to do another like course thing. So, but you have to do everything that they ask you to do, and they guarantee that you will pass the first time. So, we ended up doing that. I think it's like a 3-day course. We were there from 8 o'clock in the morning, I believe, till like 4 or 5 o'clock. I think it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and 3 days of it. I mean, this is like a crash course of everything you've learned in nursing school till 3 days. So we're in this class. It was like other people can come from different schools, so we had different people come from different schools. It was just a few of them, I think. So then we're sitting there like intimidated, but I mean, the lady that did it, she was just very helpful. She was explaining things. I mean, she did an awesome job. So then what they do is they actually give you a book, which I don't have my book right now. And we had to sign a little piece of paper saying that we can't give this book away, and that we can't even do anything with it. So I'm not going to show it to you guys, but I don't want to get in trouble legally. Anyways, so they say this is our book. So it's like, I don't know, 100 something pages long, I believe. I don't even remember. But say this is your book, and it tells you. So you're opening it, and inside of it, each person gets a book. So inside of it, it kind of has like fill in the blank kind of things, different topics, and it has like fill in the blanks in it. So you're sitting there, and she's going over information, and you're filling in the blanks as she's going in the information, and she's like stopping at different times. If you have a question, if you don't understand something, she's able to tell you. And they just go over generalized information. They go over like heart failure, maternity, psych. They go over all these, and they have videos that you watch in class, and they have videos that you have online. So all the stuff that she went over, you can watch it again online, and they say that you have to watch them all. And then you do practice questions in there. And it was really helpful, and a lot of us were like, why didn't we take this class earlier? Like, why didn't we pay one course online, pay for this course before and take it before we finished our last semester? Because it was like super helpful. It was like beyond helpful. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for a course, Hearst, I would definitely recommend it. So we did that for 3 days, and then once we did that, you have to go home, and on your own you have to do 3 different test banks, and I think all of them have like 120 questions, and you have to score above a certain percentage, and if you score about that percentage, you're likely to pass the NCLEX. I forget what the percentage is. I think it's like 70%, 60%, something like that. It wasn't like a high percentage. So if you pass, and I think I did all of mine, and all of them said that I was able to pass. So I did that, and I don't know, I finally got my thing. I told you guys I was delayed in that process. So I finally got my ATI number. I scheduled my date, and I think from the time that I graduated, I think it was like a month later or 3 weeks or so afterwards. And I didn't plan that. I planned it to take my NCLEX like as soon as I graduated, because people say the longer you wait, the more information you're going to lose. Well, I didn't have a choice. It was like, that was just the way I was going to do it, because I had no say in it, because I didn't have an authorization number. So now I have my number, and I scheduled my test, and I think I took it in June the 23rd or something like that. June the 20th, 23rd, 24th, around that range. I took my test, and I think it was a Friday, I believe. or Thursday. I don't remember. But anyways, the closest test site to me was about 2 hours away. So I just ended up I live in North Carolina, so I ended up taking it in Virginia, which was about a 2 hour drive because that was the closest date. I just went ahead and took the closest date that I could find. So I stayed the night before. I stayed the night before. I found a place, close to it that was about like a 5-minute drive from the place because I was like, oh my God, they say if you're late, they're not going to let you in and blah, 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 blah. Make sure you have your IDs, make sure you have this, make sure you have that. And so I'm freaking out because they're already like, have you in this like emotion that you're so freaked out. Security is terrible, they say, and you have a camera watching you the whole time. And so I didn't know what to expect. So I stayed the night before, and they say don't study the night before because you're not gonna retain any of the information. Well, I'm gonna tell you otherwise because it worked for me. So I studied the night before, and I was like on Pinterest finding little things that would help me remember because I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure how hard this test was going to be. So I'm on Pinterest, like finding different little things that can help with like little nursing mnemonics or whatever they're called, and just help me understand. And everybody kept saying the girls that had tested before me, they had said, look, protect what is it called, the infection control was a big thing, maternity, this, that, and the other. And so that's what in my mind I'm focusing on this information. So I brought my Hearst book and I'm studying that. I brought my Hearst book. I brought my what did I bring? I brought my Hearst book, and then I'm on Pinterest. So I'm tossing and turning the whole night, and I tried to go to bed early, but I couldn't. So I'm on my phone, and I'm like, okay, I need to remember this. I need to remember how to put my gloves on. I need to remember how to take my gloves off, how to put my gown on. So I'm like, in my head, I'm just ringing the whole time. I'm just like, I can't. I'm gonna fail, and So finally, I go over this, so I'm like looking at when, insulin, which one's long lasting, which one's this, which one has a peak, which one doesn't have a peak, and I'm freaking out, and I'm thinking, so I'm studying the night before when they say don't study. So I'm studying, and then I like woke up super early. I took a shower. I went downstairs. I ate some breakfast, and then my husband was with me and my kids were with me. So he ended up dropping me off, and I think the time to test was 8 o'clock. I got there at 7:15. Well, they don't open the doors till like I think 15 minutes before or 30 minutes before. So I'm sitting there waiting the whole time for someone to open the door, and it's just you go into this random building, and there's no one there. Like it's just a building with a bunch of different offices in. So you go in and you find a little guide, and then it tells you what way to go. So my way was to the right, and I'm headed to the right down this long hall, and then you go and you find the number that it tells you, and then you just wait till someone opens the door. So then I go in, and they finally, so I'm sitting there waiting for 30 minutes for them to open the door. So then you go in, and then they give you a key. You take a number, they give you a key to put your stuff in the locker, and they say don't take anything with you. I think I brought my phone because I needed a way to communicate with my husband. So I brought my phone and my ID. That was pretty much it. So then I don't think I took a jacket or anything. I think I just took like a short cut shirt, and I wore something comfortable. So then I go in, and then I'm just there, asking you for your finger. I think you do your fingerprint. You give them your ID, the test number thing. I don't know. I remember like signing in and everything, putting your stuff up, and then they call you to go in. And then once you go in, there's a lady there. So you go in, there's the lady there, and she's like checking you, patting you down, making sure you ain't cheating or anything, because this is a serious test. This is like the state exam. So then there's the lady, and then so she has her little office there, right? It's like a little cubicle, and then you go around, and then there's the computers. It's like maybe 15 computers, and there are like a little rectangle thing, and so she can watch everything in your monitor, and then she has a little screen where she's watching like every single person. So if you're cheating, you're gonna be caught. So don't try to cheat on the NCLEX. But anyways, so then she's watching you, and she's patting you to make sure. So she tells you to go sit down. She says, if you fill up your board, just raise your hand and we'll give you another one. Do not erase anything. So I'm like, this is serious business. So I'm scared to even write anything down. You can't, when you go in, do not like dump your brain into a piece of paper or anything, because they will kick you out apparently. So don't like go in there and say, okay, I need to know this, I need to know that, I need to know that. But as the questions come by, if you need to write down your potassium level or something, just write it down, but don't go in there and then write everything down. So then the screen, I guess, tells you to log in, or tells you to, I'm trying to think, you go in, and they have like headphones that you can use. It's like the noise cancellation headphones. You can put those on, and then you just start your test, and then it has a timer up there, has a little calculator thing, and that's pretty much all that you do. You just start answering questions. And so once you answer your question, it doesn't, you can realize when you test, your questions start getting harder. You start getting multiple choice questions, and then you get, select all that apply questions, and then you get a bunch of just the regular questions. It kind of just jumps back and forth. It did with me. So I'm like super nervous. But I didn't want to tell you guys that the test wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. It was more generalized information, like I remember having heart failure, a lot of mine. I remember having like a lot of infection control on mine. I remember the stuff that I studied the night before was actually on my test, like how to take off your gloves, how to put on your gloves, how to do a wound. What are the steps to doing a wound? What position are you going to lie this patient in if they're having this done? Like stuff like that, and it was more generalized information. I remember having an insulin question, like which insulin does not have a peak time, kind of stuff like that. So I remember it not being as hard, and so I'm going through the test like, oh my gosh, I'm not passing because this is too easy. Like I remember that feeling, and then but I felt confident. Like I didn't feel like I was bombing the thing. I felt like it was too easy for me to have passed it. And so I was, in my mind, I'm just like, well, I think I failed because it was too easy. Like it was not what I expected it to be. And maybe I over prepared myself. Maybe I was thinking it was going to be like super super hard, and it wasn't. So I left. I think I was on my 74th question. I'm like, okay, I'm getting to the end. Like, the magic number, you think it's going to be 75 questions. 75 isn't going to cut off, or you have 200 and something questions. So I'm getting to my 74th question, and I'm just like, okay. My heart's beating because I know it's about to cut off, or am I going to continue? Did I do something wrong? And so I'm clicking and going 74th, 75th, and then bam, the screen turns blue. So then, once the screen turns blue, I'm like, oh my god. So I raised my hand, and then I didn't even realize that the computer had like a survey up there for me to do. So then the lady comes over, and she's like, oh, you gotta finish that. And I'm like, oh, my bad. So it's just asking you random questions, like if you're Hispanic or whatever, female, male, something like that. And then once I'm done with that, they just she just call her back. She tells you you're good to go, and then you're done. So I think it took me about an hour and 45, almost 2 hours to take it. 75. I'm a slow tester. Because I remember this girl saying she had 75 questions. She finished in 45 minutes. I'm like, how in the world did you finish in 45 minutes when it took me an hour and 45? So anyways, different testers take different time, but you do have a total of 6 hours to take this test. So do not try to rush. So yeah, that was my experience. So then the worst thing you have to do is wait for your test results. I think they give you 48 hours to do the quick results, but you have to pay, I think it's $7 or $8. You have to pay to get your results. So I am sitting there waiting. So the rest of the day I'm like on Google trying to find out if I answered the question right or not. I was just a total mess. So my husband and us, my kids, we tried to get my mind distracted. I don't know, I was a total mess. I was confident. I was confident, and I thought that I had passed, and I was like, but in my mind, I was like, that test was too easy. Everybody says it's so hard. Everybody says that if you feel like you passed, you didn't pass. So I'm freaking out because I thought I passed, but then, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, this test was too easy. Why? I don't think I passed. Inside of me, I was like, I did pass, but then in my mind, I'm like, no, you didn't. And then it was just total mess. So then I'm sitting there, waiting, and they tell you to do this trick where you try to buy another test, and and if it lets you, you pass, and if it doesn't let you, don't pass. So I'm sitting there trying to do this, and it didn't let me buy another test. So I'm like, oh, you passed or whatever. But then, so those 2 days that I had to wait was one of the hardest things that I've had to do, because your nerves are like, am I going to have a nursing career? Am I going to have to, because you have to wait 6 weeks to retest in order to pass. Like, in order to retest, take the NCLEX again, you have to wait 6 weeks. So, so then I'm just sitting there waiting. Saturday goes by, and then here comes Sunday. And it's like 9 o'clock. I think your tests are up, I guess, at the time that you finish the test or whatever. Here is, I think it's 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever I go check, and then it tells you, you go to click in, it says your quick results are ready. So then you purchase it, I'm typing in my credit card information, I'm doing everything, and I'm like, and it says pass, and I'm like, oh my god, I passed.
Oh my god, I passed. So,
I'm waking my husband up. I'm like, I passed. And then I screenshot it and I posted it on Facebook. I posted it on Instagram. And I remember it being one of the happiest days of my life, because I was like, yes, all the hard work finally paid off. I'm finally officially a registered nurse. And my mind is like, oh my god. I'm like freaking out. I'm just so happy, full of emotions. And I remember it being one of the happiest days of my life. I even wrote a little thing in my journal about it because I was so excited. So that was my NCLEX experience. Sorry, guys, I took so long. I rambled a lot, but if you guys have your own NCLEX experience, I would love to listen to it. I would love to see it. You can leave a comment down below if you guys want to hear me talk about anything else. Just let me know, and I will try my best to upload a video about